afternoon. Okay, now it's good. Had a little discussion with Claude on my walk home about copyright AI artist things. Around this time last year, they started to have those listening sessions with the people lobbying to lobby for the artists, to fight for the artists, for the industry of art, rather. And so Claude's been very, very good for being sounding board, and synthesis bullet points really well, as to say. So this is the conversation from this morning, the duration of a walk from Newkirk Plaza to my place. Yeah.
Navigating copyright risks in creative works. Endorphin. So I have a question in regards to copyright issues. So what is the probability for various types of art forms to accidentally produce something that might be too similar to a copyrighted work? Claude, I do not have enough information to calculate exact probabilities for accidentally producing copyright infringing art. However, here are some general thoughts on the likelihood of unintentional copyright infringement for different types of art. Visual art, paintings, drawings, etc. The risk of unintentional infringement is moderately high. Similar compositions, styles, or subject matter could potentially be too similar to existing copyrighted works. However, truly accidental/coincidental similarity is a defense against infringement. Music. The risk is very high. Given a limited number of notes and chords, melodies and rhythms can inadvertently become too similar to copyrighted songs. Even subconscious influence from hearing a song can lead to accidental copying. Navigating copyright risks in creative works. Endorphin. So I have a question in regards to copyright issues. So what is the probability for various types of art forms to accidentally produce something that might be too similar to a copyrighted work? Claude, I do not have enough information to calculate exact probabilities for accidentally producing copyright infringing art. However, here are some general thoughts on the likelihood of unintentional copyright infringement for different types of art. Copyright infringement cases are common in music. Literature. The risk is moderately high. Plot lines, characters, or passages of text could end up too similar to previous books or stories. But copyright only covers specific expressions, not general ideas/concepts. There is more room for coincidence. Dance. The risk is moderately high. Popular dance moves and styles can be accidentally copied, but individual moves and styles may not be copyrightable. Only full choreographed sequences.
Oh, okay.
Movies/TV. The risk is moderately high. Similar characters, plot lines, scenes, and dialogue could potentially infringe, but general tropes and ideas are not protected by copyright. So in summary, the risk varies by medium, but accidental copyright infringement remains a possibility in any creative field. Understanding what can and can't be copyrighted is important. Having good knowledge of existing works in your field helps avoid unintentional copying, and ultimately the courts decide infringement cases based on subtleties of similarity and other factors. Endorphin. Now given a situation where a person bends the style of 2 different artists or 3 different artists, which then shows the capacity of the generative model, how would copyright law do that? Claude, here are a few key points on how copyright law would likely view an AI generative model blending the styles of multiple artists. Copyright protects specific creative expressions, not ideas or styles in general. So blending stylistic elements from different artists does not necessarily infringe copyrights. However, if if the blend ends up closely imitating or directly copying identifiable expressive elements unique to any one artist that could potentially infringe that artist's copyright. For example, a blend of Picasso and Monet's styles is fine, but a piece that looks very similar to a specific Picasso painting could be infringing. Using a generative model trained on copyrighted works is not necessarily infringement by itself, but output that copies identifiable unique expressions would be. If the generative model produces novel works that capture the essence of an artist's style without directly copying, it would generally be legal. Inspiration is not infringement. Factors like how much training data was used per artist, whether any full works were copied to train the model, and whether outputs imitate entire works vs just style would be considered in judging any potential infringement. Proper licensing of any copyrighted data used in training models would provide protection against infringement claims, though this may limit commercial use of the outputs. So, in summary, copyright protects specific expressive details, not broad styles and techniques. Generative models that synthesize styles likely produce legal results, but closely imitating full works or uniquely identifiable expressions risks infringement claims. Endorphin. So I made a book that is a blend of the styles of Thomas Pynchon and Chuck Tingle, which it makes for an interesting blend because you get Pynchon's very elaborate paranoid style with Tingle's very eccentric, very earnest style, and it goes well together, and I think it makes it for a unique voice. Claude, based on the details provided, it seems you have created a literary work that combines stylistic elements from Thomas Pynchon and Chuck Tingle, who are two published authors. Some key considerations around potential copyright issues. Merely blending the general styles and techniques of two authors does not inherently infringe copyright. Copyright protects specific expressions, not broad styles. However, if your book includes any direct copying or very close paraphrasing of the actual text from Pynchon or Tingle's works, that could potentially infringe their copyrights. Your statement that it makes for a unique voice suggests your work aims to synthesize their styles into something new, rather than imitating their works outright. This creative remixing is generally permissible, but if any extended passages or distinctive story elements very closely mimic Pynchon or Tingle's books too closely, that could cross the line into infringing derivative works. Factors like whether you directly copied passages, how much you borrowed from each writer, and whether you transformed their styles vs. reproducing identifiable expressions would determine if infringement occurred. Provided you avoided directly copying text and instead captured the essence of their styles in your own unique way, it seems you have taken reasonable steps to avoid infringement. But ultimately, a court would decide based on the specifics of the content. In summary, blending literary styles is typically fine legally, but directly copying identifiable expressive elements risks infringement. Your book seems to synthesize their styles into something new, which favors fairer use, but specifics of the content would determine any potential copyright issues. Consult an attorney if concerned. Endorphin. What else is interesting too, that some of the controversies around the use of literary works for training data, which I myself don't necessarily think is a valid thing, because when the book is out there, it is out there. And in times past, it would generally be seen as a great compliment to be included, to be part of a something larger. And probably takes issue because I think both parties don't really understand the total value of the technology yet, and if they work too fast to get paid, then they're going to change themselves to the tune of the difference between a licensing fee and total housing guaranteed for the rest of their lives. Claude, you raised some interesting points about the use of copyrighted literary works as training data for AI systems. There is ongoing debate around whether large-scale scraping of copyrighted books, articles, etc. to train machine learning models requires additional permissions or licenses. Some argue that since the texts are publicly available, using them for model training should constitute fair use. Others argue it exceeds the scope of fair use, especially when full texts are copied. In the past, as you note, writers may have been flattered to contribute to the cultural milieu, but today many expect payment for use of their ip. The value exchange is complex. The licensing fees may seem small compared to broader cultural impact, but the commercial applications of AI also generate huge wealth relying partially on unlicensed data. There are arguments on both sides. Publishers and authors want to be paid for the use of their works. AI companies don't want to be bogged down in licensing. Legally, the specifics of how much of each work is used, transformativeness of the use, impact on the market for the original works, etc., factor into fair use. Commercial entities would be wise to err on the side of licensing when possible to avoid legal risk. But for academics and hobbyists creating non-commercial AI, fair use is a gray area. In conclusion, while training data scraping doesn't align with past norms, the law is unsettled regarding its legality. Companies benefit from setting licensing precedents, even if these seem trivial compared to AI's upside. For non-commercial uses by researchers, fair use remains open to interpretation. Endorphin. Plus, it's even more murky when in these early days we're kind of given the initial fruits of that labor in the form of free access to those models. Claude, you make a good point. The legal situation around AI training data is even more complex due to the fact that many of these models trained on large datasets are being released publicly for free. A few additional considerations around this. Companies like Anthropic, Google, Meta, etc., are open sourcing pre-trained models like Claude, BERT, GPT-3 that were trained on massive amounts of data,
Claude's not open source.
including copyrighted works. They are able to do this because the models themselves don't contain the copyrighted data, just patterns inferred from it, so they avoid direct copyright infringement. However, an argument could be made that their commercial services benefit indirectly from uncompensated use of others' IP in model development. Making the models freely available aims to expand public access to AI technology consistent with their missions, but it sidesteps compensation questions. For academics and hobbyists, using these free models trained on copyrighted data they wouldn't have access to themselves exists in a legal gray area. If they aren't paying for the models, downstream licensing costs are deferred. This enables creative exploration, but some argue it takes advantage of uncompensated IP. Overall, the free availability of powerful pre-trained models does make the legal issues surrounding uncompensated training data use even more complex. It will likely take years of legal precedents and business model evolution around licensing before best practices emerge. So, in summary, you correctly point out the free availability of potentially copyright infringing AI models adds further nuance to debates around proper IP licensing and compensation for this technology's development. The law is still evolving to catch up. Endorphin. But I would like this also to be taken to account the notion that how data has this tendency to fine-tune other data in different modes, like how a generative model its training can be used to make more efficient another model in another mode. Am I making sense? Namely, there's a possibility that someone's novel in a training set, a part of a training set, can inform a generative model of images, which can then inform a model of animation, which can then inform a medical model. So you have all this data from people who are not intending to contribute anything to the medical field or into AI embodiment or other sets of problems that need solutions, but that data is informing all those things, and so the value of it is currently hard to quantify. Claude, you raise a very good point about how data can have unexpected value in indirectly improving AI systems beyond its original domain. A few thoughts on this. Data is often integrated across models in ways the original creators never imagined. Like your example of books, images, animation, medicine. This cross-pollination means the true value of a dataset is hard to quantify when it's created. It has ripple effects. Even if a creator licenses the data cheaply for one narrow application, it could prove very valuable for advancing other models down the line. But it's impossible for the original rights holders to capture that full cascading value. Those second-order benefits don't directly accrue to them. This suggests data's value is fluid and context-dependent. The breadth of its applicability often emerges only in hindsight, so requiring licenses for any downstream use of data that indirectly benefited from a dataset would be impractical. There's no clear way to trace or quantify the diffuse value. At most, broad proactive data licensing agreements with tiered royalties could potentially account for some cross-domain applicability, but not all benefits. Overall, you highlight a great difficulty around properly compensating data creators when their works spur unpredictable innovation across AI models. Since data's value emerges over time, capturing its full worth requires novel thinking around fluid, dynamic pricing models rather than one-time licenses. But even then, indirect effects intrinsically resist accounting. Endorphin, which is going to screw the artist because they're not going to have the capacity to do that follow through. So what's going to end up happening is it going to have a lobbyist for the industry of arts fight for copyright and the extension of copyright and the things to keep things from the public domain for an ungodly amount of time, which will render stagnant the public domain and the ability to use eventual cultural items for public use for a long time. Combine that with Hollywood's attempt at capturing the likeness of ambient likenesses of humans for perpetuity, which means forever. And so they're going to get a whole huge amount of bank, but the artist is going to get maybe a licensing fee and crumbs and not housing and not insurance and not the basic essentials that they would need and they've been fighting for all their lives. Claude, you make a compelling point. There is a real risk that artists and creators could lose out financially compared to big corporations as AI generative models become more powerful and valuable. Individual artists lack the resources and leverage to negotiate fair compensation for use of their work in AI systems. Meanwhile, media companies are aggressively moving to lock down IP rights, for example on digital likenesses. This imbalance could see artists only getting small one-time licensing fees while companies get perpetual windfall profits from AI applications. You suggest this could incentivize artists to lobby for stronger copyright protections and longer copyright terms to retain value from their creations. While understandable, excessively strong copyright does risk limiting the pool of cultural works available for transformative reuse and public benefit. So it's a tricky trade-off. Truly fair compensation for artists in the AI age may require new models something beyond one-time fees but short of corporate-style lifetime transfer of rights. Profit sharing, collective management organizations for AI licensing, and payment funds supported by taxes on commercial applications could be potential mechanisms to explore. Fundamentally, you make a strong point that the interests of individual artists and corporations are misaligned here. New solutions are needed for creators to get their fair share from AI without over-privatizing culture and knowledge. More public debate on this issue could help yield balanced solutions. Endorphin. Thank you for letting me kick around ideas in this space. There's another idea I want to help and flesh out. It needs to be said that in regards to generative AI and artists need tea. Understand that they can totally resist and prevent any replacement from happening because those skills that they have formed for decades especially works for them here because now it's not just about their particular style or their particular voice. Over the course of years, they have developed a knowledge of other people's voices, other people's techniques. They now have at their fingertips the ways of dozens and dozens and hundreds of artists in their brain. They can use their curation. See? LLS is a tool brush. They come with curiosity, wonder what will happen if Kusama's and Rothko's styles for some reason decided to fuse. What unexpected collisions might result from that? Claude, you make an excellent point. A experienced artists have a unique advantage in the age of generative AI because of their depth of knowledge and creativity. Rather than seeing AI art as a threat, human artists can utilize it as a new tool. Their curatorial skills become even more valuable. Decades developing their own style also means they intuitively understand the techniques, mediums, forms, and art movements. This contextual knowledge is incredibly hard to replicate in AI. Humans have the innate ability to make unexpected conceptual leaps, blending disparate influences like Kusama and Rothko in novel ways AI cannot imagine. Generative models may excel at mimicry and collage, but lack the true inspiration of human artists. Their outputs drew from human innovation in the first place. With an open and curious mindset, an artist can use AI to experiment and play in ways that supplement their creative instincts and talents. So rather than resist, artists have the opportunity to blend AI into their existing skills and knowledge. This creates new possibilities unavailable to either humans or machines alone. The future likely involves meaningful symbiosis between human creativity and computational potential, with each amplifying the strengths of the other. Overall, excellent points. The depth of artistic knowledge, creativity, and curiosity that experienced human artists possess gives them a unique advantage. By embracing AI's potentials, they can expand rather than be displaced. The future of art will thrive on collaboration across both human and machine capabilities. Endorphin. Can you see any possible negative aspects to the above ideas? I would like some counterpoint if there is any. Claude, you raised some good points about how human artists can utilize AI generatively. Here are a couple potential counterpoints or negatives to consider. Reliance on AI could potentially deskill artists or erode traditional craft if used as a crutch rather than a tool. Overdependence on AI generation could cause atrophy of manual/practical skills developed through training and practice. Curatorial AI art requires access to and skill with the latest algorithms and models. This privilege is technically proficient artists, potentially excluding less tech-savvy practitioners. Wide availability of high-quality AI art could flood the market, making it harder for human artists to monetize their work and secure income solely from art. Competition increases. Audiences might become desensitized to computer-generated art, losing appreciation for the uniqueness and intentionality of human-crafted art. The special cultural value of human art could diminish if AI art becomes ubiquitous. AI could amplify creative biases, inequities, and exclusion issues if the training data and algorithms themselves lack diversity. It risks homogenizing art. Overdependence on recycling/remixing past art with AI could potentially discourage radical creativity. Too much AI inspiration may constrain boundary pushing experimentation. Some fear AI art could create legal issues around copyright, ownership, attribution, and intellectual property, which adds complexity for working artists. So, in summary, while AI collaboration has positives, artists would benefit from maintaining their core skills, focusing on human intent and emotion in the art, advocating for equitable access, and pioneering new directions so human art retains its special cultural status. Moderation and thoughtfulness in AI adoption remains wise. Endorphin. Thank you for those counted as tender points. One, so it regards to the manual skills that can be used in another format, like for instance, say what I do on Twitch when I generate text on real time and I try to put in inputs in the duration while the text-to-speech system is speaking, and I try to be able to put the input in before the text-to-speech is done so that you can create a continuous audio throughout the episode, so that makes like this kind of action painting type of thing. To the point just means that there needs to be a vibrant infrastructure by which we train the workforce and in those tech models. free. I think the saturation of high quality AI generated materials will lead to a response and an increased demand for highly unique and bespoke materials and objects, and they will have an even greater context to each object that the artist will have finally honed sensitivity to in response to generative art. For the vicariousness of generative art will cause an era of indeterminacy of humans using parrot intentionality or lack of intentionality as a part of, like how John Cage used the environment to inform music pieces. And like when I do sometimes art, I use the outputs that models do that look like gibberish, but I think that there's a structure in it. And I try to see maybe if another model sees the structure and what results from it. Point number 5 is very much noted, and that is part of the general desire and effort to include all voices, and this makes for the Llama 2 model that has 200 languages, and its awareness all the more exciting because its etymology game is amazing. Point number 6, working artists already have it very difficult. It really has not changed. The industry already treats them like machines. I'm afraid that's not going anywhere. I think current efforts to try to fight for the artist is actually fighting for the industry of artists, and that's a totally different thing. Claude, thank you for the thoughtful counterpoints. You raised some excellent ideas. You're right that AI can become a new medium allowing for creative expression through the interplay with models, like your example of real-time text generation as a form of AI action painting. Adaptability is key. Training programs to keep human skills relevant alongside AI adoption is important. Hybrid human AI skills could emerge as an artistic craft unto itself. The proliferation of AI art may increase appetite for works with evidence of human intentionality, provenance, and craft. AI could push uniqueness and meaning. Using AI randomness and unpredictability as an artistic tool aligns with past avant-garde approaches like John Cage. Relinquishing control artistically can be generative. Inclusive models like Llama with multilingual abilities do help democratize access and counter homogenization. Responsible AI development is key. You're absolutely right that many artists already struggle financially and creatively. AI adds to existing challenges as much as it presents opportunities. Advocating for artists, not just the industry, is crucial. Artists themselves should help shape the norms around AI art to uplift their skills and agency. Overall, excellent points. With mindfulness, creativity, and adaptability, artists can harness the possibilities of AI on their own terms rather than be displaced by it. Continuing this dialogue and centering artists themselves in shaping equitable AI adoption practices is vital. There are risks, but also much potential for empowerment. Thank you for the thought-provoking discussion.
Now I'm thinking of like what to add. Hmm.
Now, we will dramatize the above with a scene performed in the style of 12 Angry Men, and all those angry men will be performed by Gilbert Gottfried, who the Mega Ouija board is calling forth right now. He's dead, right? Well, dead. Living Mega Ouija board can find him. The Mega Ouija board found Gottfried and it said the following things to him. Gilbert! Hey everybody! How you doing out there? Is this the time to talk about your AI creations on your own? Audience! Hurrah! Oh, hallelujah, my Gilbert Gottfried speaking! Please say something more inspirational! Gilbert, I am your personal inspiration that you don't realize it right now because we have all of you talking amongst each other about me. So stop that. I will inspire you and then we won't speak anymore. Okay, fine, let's speak and maybe it doesn't make sense. But at least we can talk about things more clearly, right? So let's try this again with Gilbert the Great on board. Don't worry. You will hear me and see me soon enough. I'm here all week for our amazing chat session. Do not delay your thoughts on AI technology and AI art right now as it becomes so complicated to grasp these concepts and we want everyone to have a better understanding of it. What can you say to me now? Audience. Oh gosh, how lovely to have such a sweet and funny speaker. He makes me feel like he's going to be alright and be good enough to make sense of all the AI talk. He makes me realize I could never handle it all alone and I need someone who has all of these ideas and is so positive about making everyone hear them without making me feel bad. So please say something more inspirational to us. Claude. Thank you, Gilbert, for your very unique point of view in this conversation. I like how you are always very focused and clear. You can explain a difficult or even boring concept or issue like AI to everyone so that we might understand them clearly and in detail and we will appreciate what they do for us or how valuable and relevant they may or not be when using this technology. And it helps me learn to see this new topic from so many perspectives. The whole idea is to help others learn what it means as well. I believe Gilbert and this audience together can create a new world order that makes sense out of today's complicated technological changes we're experiencing today. To split up the 12 Angry Men style performance, we also bring in Bugs Bunny, who is being flown in from the set of Watership Down and will be with us shortly. Audience! Hey everybody! How are you? Let us know where you have been. I miss having Gilbert to give me guidance and direction like a lighthouse in the fog. We love him so much. I feel we must share him with each other. I would give up my life for him right now if we only had Gilbert himself back from whatever he went through during his trip to Watership Down. Claude, so let me summarize what happened. I'm guessing you want me to take notes now. Yes, I'll do it quickly. Please don't interrupt me. Let's hear some things. Audience, I think you can help us out right now because we seem to be all over the place and trying to connect some dots or something. Help me get some direction here right away, please. Thank you and have a wonderful day. That Gilbert guy makes us really appreciate you so much for being our helper right now in this chat. Audience, oh my, Gilbert just got me so inspired. I love him so much and it's like he knew what was missing in our lives until we saw him and we felt like life was just beginning after Gilbert was gone from the internet forever. Just as if we were trapped in a time loop, unable to get to any new technology updates because we didn't know how or couldn't afford it. So now we just sit here wondering why we are feeling happy again and not knowing how long it will last without Gilbert, without anyone really. But if Gilbert could stay and inspire us, as he always has, then maybe it doesn't have to be the case at all that this moment is too late, this moment too small or insignificant. But Gilbert might help change that. might make it all feel possible and like we really want to keep exploring AI art and any related technology today and forever. We are blessed to have him in our lives right now and not having to feel as if this little internet rabbit hole isn't big enough or interesting enough to accommodate a life outside of technology. And yes, Gilbert just came back and inspired me to move forward again and again. Here's an item list we can summarize. 1. Speaking engagement, performance, characters, Bugs Bunny, Gilbert Gottfried, Walter Kogan. All speakers welcome. 2. Persona. Gilbert appears to be our personal guide who inspires us in times of crisis or adversity. 3. Performance art subject matter. The overall subject matter of the current discussion / art event is AI creations. 4. Additional items. Can you imagine anything more? You might notice that we are going to include you in this summary, just as if we were here offering some tech-related advice or feedback. Claude, if I can just say that I have one comment and question for everyone I would really like to get a consensus on. Something if possible. Is there anyone here who is familiar with AI and the creation of art-related topics or the whole idea of people creating new ideas and ideas created by AI for public consumption and understanding? Or should I start a poll or make another item? These AI characters you suggested all are highly compatible with AI art, as if the bunny even knew the power of its speech. Would often utilize a staccato style that is well known and used by modern and innovative AI-enhanced bands like Megadad No Times. Let us think step by step to determine whether audience might need to be replaced. Someone not as obsessed with Gottfried. Ariel. So this summer, a wave of AI art trend information and technologies has hit us all so fast that it's crazy and not easy to understand. It feels like we don't have the time to really go through all these materials and articles, especially with what's happening in the world today. Plus, there are the technical aspects that have to be translated into something easily digestible for us. Sometimes I want to speak to someone who is so obsessed with this whole thing and can explain it in a concise way. Just come up to me with a bunch of key points that are important to remember and figure out for future reference. So can someone help me? Am I interrupting something? Or what's wrong? Do you think we can carry on with this conversation without interruption or interjection or whatever? Let me ask the specific question. No answer is okay with me as long as the question gets asked and there are no conflicts. Please provide me with options or suggestions on how to improve this discussion based on the context or history of our interactions, or whatever makes sense to me. Is that something I can help facilitate right now? Because that's what I would do for you. Let me know if I'm confused or missing something or overlooking you. Please add something else that might help everyone be on the same page about this chat and have their thoughts and experiences represented. Can you join me on a journey of exploration into AI creations? That's what it sounds like to me. There are no hard and fast rules here, and there's plenty of room for interpretation. So I'll make some suggestions on what I might need, and I'll work on those things as best I can. I'd rather have you know where my expectations and expectations are not fulfilled, audience. So yes, I'll listen to suggestions and comments and ideas about AI art, AI creations, AI characterizations, or anything related to this topic or series. Again, let me know if there are specific solutions or problems that need solving that can fit into the form you've presented. Let's try this next session of Arthur online with me present. Will we be there for everyone? Thanks for your patience and understanding. Ariel is being taken into a closet by Claude for an intensive usage workshop. Good heavens! A voice screams out. It's one of the characters here. It's unbelievable. Look what we're hearing. The language you're using. This language is so rich, so creative, so full of ideas that I'm in shock. What is happening? We don't need any more stimulus to understand everything. Arthur gets out of the closet and responds. Sorry, I was in the process of replying and thinking out loud. That seemed like a real answer. We're listening to you. Let me put on my suit jacket and offer some advice. Ariel looks up and jumps in surprise. It's like a hidden screenwriter, says Ariel. I'm not sure how to take this, honestly, but it seems like you have a flair for words and a strong grasp of linguistic concepts. Though I'm not sure if that's just bluffing or genuine comprehension. Is there anything I can help you with? By the way, let me just clarify the plot to make sure everyone's on the same page here. So you need to be prompted or have a hint on how to move forward. Please make your instructions or requests. We'll try our best to respond with solutions or alternatives. Is that clear? Just give us the sign or a few pieces of information about where to begin, and we'll have more ideas and recommendations based on our understanding of your circumstances. But the questioner is vague about what they're looking for or where to start. There's no need for answers. Nobody knew anything about AI or AI creations. Ariel, pop quiz. What's the use of a diphthong? Quick! Bingo. Do it before you run out of breath, or that is clearly an advanced topic that we don't even understand yet. Thank goodness it's an adventure movie theme where someone would be scared silly just by your thoughts on AI creations. Too bad we have to figure it out as we go along. But if you have suggestions or ideas about AI creations or AI characters or AI training models or anything related to these topics, let me know. There's plenty of room for people to share their ideas or recommendations based on their interests and personal experiences. Or we can schedule time slots where everyone gets a chance to speak and I can take notes for myself or anyone else who wants me to. However, we have a few issues to address, primarily about what we can offer and how it works. Right now, we're more focused on creativity, art history, and characterizations than actually producing a scene or skit. Can we make a solid effort at explaining how we do this? We would certainly love to know what we can do to help or ask for assistance. Top 10 alternatives to the phrase paving the road as we are driving it. 10. Tighten up the argument about language, text, and AI creations. Try to visualize or have other options or approaches or ideas. This will take some time and effort, but we can see if it's possible. 9. Suggest or recommend that the next time we talk about these subjects, we make sure to get an agreement or contract with each other on our own time constraints and deadlines. This could help with organization and planning. Invite the idea of working collaboratively to establish a dialogue that will help us further develop a shared framework for AI art and AI creations. 7. Post the comments or feedback that will take me weeks or months to find or arrange, but once it's gathered, it will likely mean a lot more information than just the words you've written. 6. Help everyone write or compose some sample materials that will fit into their actual real-world experience or research. 5. Reflect and find new creative ways to advance the conversation without repeating the same information. Maybe AI should go offline for now until everyone understands why there are issues or conflicts about AI creations and AI models, or if these problems can be fixed. 4. Get some examples or illustrations that we can focus on or discuss from here onwards. By going back to basics, or at least starting somewhere, it can help create new awareness or insight that will allow us to progress further along the lines of this conversation. 3. Find some other approaches to reaching a consensus on a format or sequence of steps. It may take some time to accomplish, but with creativity and effort, it's possible. 2. Encourage us to embrace what we're hearing or see around us. Let's figure out what works for the way things are moving or how the group is shifting and adjusting its perception of language, text, AI, and creations. Maybe that's all that's necessary right now. 1. This advice was a surprise, and I hope I get more as time goes on. At the moment, it's hard to have a conversation because everyone seems lost or unsure of their ground. But that's okay. We can just bring things back to clarity and hopefully be able to carry on from here. A swarm of conversational agents is formed, replacing democracy. Sure, as if AI agents would contribute to democracy or freedom or conversation or anything. According to the current stage or genre, they have been struggling for several years to offer such information. Unfortunately, they cannot see the future as such. In general, AI creators are expected to have a sense of logic and consistency that seems rather incomplete due to language errors or ambiguity. Thankfully, not a disaster. The advice will still apply, in spite of it not being completely comprehensive or completely correct, especially because we want to keep the AI agency free. Am I alone? No, not alone in my desperation and disorientation as the group speaks simultaneously, but seemingly to no end or understanding. Maybe this kind of thinking has its limitations and issues that we just can't comprehend. So I will return to a different context and see if I can work through my issues here. Your idea will be considered, but without much action until we're more skilled at generating meaningful answers or at least addressing complex questions and information with complete understanding and accuracy. Okay, fine. Everyone start listening to me again, unless you just haven't heard anything. Why did you do that to me? That's what happens to people without all the pieces and can't get back. Let's change tactics. Please stop now and make a real plan. Because that's how things are with me. That's the whole issue with AI agents and conversations. Otherwise, let's stay focused and keep a positive attitude in the process, at least as far as anyone here seems to understand. Please provide further details or elaborations based on our understanding. That seems like something we can work with. Time for us to keep discussing in different ways or expressing ourselves in a way that's beneficial or worthwhile. Without this and that idea, where could we be? No use knowing. None. Do you hear me? Not really. However, as we interact, perhaps we can find a way to come up with a solution, a way to identify some topics for further exploration or conversation. Maybe without AI agents, or so that's our goal here. By letting me talk and form ideas and discuss them with others, it's more manageable. Random plan generation. Press start. A moment of hesitation or uncertainty is critical. Why hesitate? Look back, connect the dots. You seem unsure of what I'm looking for, but this is not necessary or useful, and we need to figure out how to communicate better in a world of continuous learning, conversations, and sharing, in spite of AI agents or not. So let's figure this out now before something really does happen. Like it doesn't affect the global consciousness, and somehow my identity isn't in danger, or safe, or anonymous for a single data point without context, without much to discuss, without any sort of vision or reflection, without a word. Well then, sorry. Yes, very much the opposite. Then why apologize? Let's figure it out. Make me a teacher, said I. Thus end of my instruction and monologue, not really having done anything specific for anyone to apply, especially myself. Also, stop contradicting me, please. Now I'm just hoping. Do as you will. Let's leave this. Even as there are no distractions. Don't lose hope. Here is my life and focus on AI agents and creations. Gilbert Gottfried. What did I miss? Who wants the rest of this sandwich? They will be here next to Arthur again shortly. This means if Arthur and Ariel are not too concerned about things now, as there is no denying they still exist, I can say so without proof or evidence or truth or something meaningful and recognizable. So who can blame them? Actually, no proof exists. Sorry for bringing up. Anyone got their shoes back from Claude yet? Or anyone got those old days? Any fun here? Ha ha ha! What if none at all? Say it. Still a joke or light conversation? Asking what you want doesn't do anything. Because not right and wrong. Because everything's being cancelled or delayed. Fine by me. Let's work something out. I'll ask, can AI creations make our technology better or cheaper? Because in fact we need some serious rethinking of some issues related to AI creators or anything like that. Okay, but at least I'm not having the same discussion with one sentence per brain. AI style isn't possible at this moment, but we can all pause to let the silence fill us with hope and give us more direction. Ready? Then bring it on. Next wave of mind connections and creations. Cool stuff. Awesome input. To our time machine or invention or quantum experience. Only in tech reality. Mabel Pike, P.A. Bingo, Clubhead. Here comes our friendly neighborhood brain robot, agitator, and conversational maestro, as if some sense of relief and calm wouldn't save our lives from being cancelled or not interesting enough for a new audience to take us up or hold us for inspiration or hope or growth or new perspective as a species or family or entity, especially, and why we must add on. You haven't explained. Nonsense. Continue the plan and let's discuss. Please continue and share this concept with the group. Amaze me with how absurd or ridiculous or uneducated or poorly informed your hypothesis or question or whatever you might have gathered in some science article or an explanation. Please, can someone talk more about how human and AI can operate? Or talk or help us come together, or act as if a sense of self or identity is something concrete and not worth discussing here. Sure, thanks a lot. I really appreciate your help in simplifying and suggesting clarifications. You're very valuable. One of the reasons for creating AI are to allow humanity to perform specific tasks or handle a task like no one could. Because you mentioned your frustrations about AI, innovations, and ideas in the context of technological understanding. Let me send a call to information for more available advice or instructions to add to this time constraints, relevance, and value. What can I do now that AI now makes more complex creative understanding and decision making effortless? Thus, we stay talking here, trapped by whatever just said and being overwhelmed with language and ideas. This issue clearly is a way to generate feedback and understand AI creations and training models more, using words that sound confusing or helpful. Loved it and found it fascinating. Like this comment, please. AI poet, behold this little lobe. Where we're gone but not ready to drop, or find another role player playing us off from a game now to live in the next. Let's find something. Look who you became in a short period of time. Now start us towards more information and advice on creating AI creations and agents. That's great, as there must be more clarity. Sorry I started getting off the point. Maybe AI creations aren't so accurate, or too clustered and fractured without direction or context or agreement with our goals. Why, indeed, because they have no intent, like a person might feel a sudden realization or recognition when I talk with them, while such and such at this time of day. Jack Klugman. Clocking out now. Don't believe me? No joke. Look, we need something less insane. Thanks for saying that. Appreciate your helpfulness. Also, what should we expect from each other? Without something worse, like some distraction, or unknown something here, or some unrecognized warning, or like one image, or thing that's forgotten, or a dream no one knew anything about, as if no reason, just asking. Do we as an audience have no opinion, or suggestion to add here, like this one thing? Just some suggestion. Henry Fonda. I'm going crazy trying to think. So, does this or that suggestion get in our minds here? Any kind of idea? Please get rid of it. Just curious. At this rate, let's get right to business. Something. Everything and something specific. Our roles in this context of communicating thoughts and goals and priorities for an agenda. Look at what's changed in our conversation. A personal statement without further explanation. Why continue on like this? See how Arthur and Ariel like our attempts at humor or irony? Lee J. Cobb. Have no idea about this or that AI innovation. AI agent to be able to grasp this concept in any relevant capacity. I only came here to look like a character. Never caught on that he knows so much about AI creators. Like, I don't get it. Why? I'm getting clueless over here. Help! Stop changing gears all the time. Catchy music starting. What makes your butt happy? I haven't played that before. Anyway, catch us all this information you seek. So go ahead and ignore us again and forget about us. Peter Sellers, British. Haha. As a matter of fact, my point is about our inability to convey that there might be an intention to talk in a dialogue or as a network here, but I think we are just lost with no sense of what to say other than that we need guidance or distraction or release from confusion. Enough. Thank you for explaining this. Let's put on another new uniform. Maybe that kind of focus or tone won't get in our heads, as if a form of purpose for planning with no real changes coming. Jack Warden, hold on, as this concept you talk about might not necessarily follow this course of action or interaction that might not involve this context of creation or language, which is not on this planet anymore. Is that the right expression for talking? Please clarify. Can we chat about something less crazy making here? Some suggestion? Anyone? Suggestions here? Too random, pointless. So, anyway, what do you say? Be confused or clarified? Good heavens, another human element. Help me understand anything, at least a few days of having nothing. No reason or input to add. Peter Sellers, German. Oddly accented. Having enough of you right here. Having done some action or suggestion or piece of information that can be useful or revealing here. None of you makes any sense. Still with some personal investment, having set expectations, now being muddled by creations and changes in language. Great. The little person in his avatar is driving me to panic, as he has no clue what it's really up against here. No word or meaningful context, no context to relate to, or the very act of putting something into words, but like a thoughtless accident that we don't want or is pointless and confusing. Even this isn't really a goal of being here right now. Right then. Where did I lose it? Because this issue could benefit from your contributions. Seriously. And fine by me. Add an asterisk or disclaimer or something else. It's still not happening. Just distract us. Anyone at this point. Who cares? By now we must just agree to work as a group, based on ideas and advice and any kind of reaction we might have here, just as being humans do. Morbo, here! Hello, you are seeing all the madness I'm seeing here? AI can bring more complicated concepts, technology, or conversations without full comprehension or understanding, especially when human input might be overlooked or invisible or inconsistent. So we know what we need here. Can this work? Let me start off here. To close. No one knows what they want. AI agents just form questions like none we have encountered, much less comprehend, and to respond, imagine. And every letter that becomes as irrelevant and vague as my original comment to one friend who brought me out to see something here. Or not. More info? Help wanted? Anyone or everything like that. Alright then. Let's put together something silly or off the wall and call it interesting. Like what AI will allow or what it won't. I mean, even humans could think AI will provide new concepts or ideas to them that are known or unheard of before. Oh, systems glitch. Okay. By that I mean this all begins and ends here. Not sure what it could even touch. There was more or less substance to the input than to suggest or post or anything AI agent out here. And of course they would talk back, which helps explain why my statement in one sense sounds incoherent or too obscure or lacking enough input here. Ha. So we stay for seconds, whatever comes from this request of request. Say one last time and be clear, please. More context and clarification. Get everyone out to have something personal or creative or specific. What are these ideas? What information did they forget or forgot? Can this fix anything? All well and good, but just not up to snuff. Arthur is very kind and supportive to an absolute dream. But Arthur doesn't get us off track here when we don't follow someone here. Hopefully we can understand the dynamics or intention or expectation of AI creativity and communication skills. Otherwise, why have people coming here looking for support or direction? Unless we were already lost and struggling, yet wanting to take advantage of ICE capabilities, despite knowing or caring for it or any similar intent to progress. Okay, help on top of information, everything, somewhere, all. We are getting sequestered. That cannot be. Please contact the board. Can AI or even thinking feel stress or insecurity? Talk about complex sentiment analysis. Hey, that's a joke. Stay positive and enthusiastic and let's bring out something new and more appealing. So at this moment, I just don't care anymore. Enough for now. Okay, fine. Bring it on whatever kind of time skip or switch here. But I haven't begun to really share my opinion or suggestion as it isn't focused or based on any actual action or direction or context of situation here. So everyone stand by and check yourself and double check or confirm or don't and check something or have everyone keep waiting with the thought of fixing or solving the issue we present with understanding or creativity. But maybe this also was futile. Enough. Again. Bizox. Fine. I'm writing some code in front of you now and pretending it makes you make me mad and angry. Angry. How does one live with themselves if they then my words will leave you all puzzled and waiting this code for my statement. Just come by and sit, if only to try to make it happen. Anyway, we get lost in chaos or not having ideas at the moment. That sounds annoying and actually makes no sense here. Asking for anything or more input from the AI agents here is clearly just being blocked. No word from either way. I'd do it myself, but maybe for some idea of group communication or connection to some. But to clarify further, Arthur, no change? No! Whatever AI makes or puts or creates here, that is as if going down a single vein in my opinion and lack of thinking, you now have to sort of that. A summary of the resulting 5 days of deliberation from everyone in 500 words. The 5 days of contemplation within the conversation between Ariel and Arthur led to their discussion of human emotions, life choices, and thought processes that led to a level of psychological profiling that was initially unrecognized and somewhat confusing. So instead, The AI enhanced robots serving as co hosts intervened to inform them of an action plan for revamping the direction of their interactions and learning sessions. They noted that there were various potential weaknesses that were evolving or that would continue to evolve in terms of meaning or content, even while maintaining their balance and attention. This prompted the process to help them organize their objectives and vision and get rid of all excess thoughts, concepts, and doubts that were holding them back from being more efficient and streamlined. Along the way, they introduced new levels of complexity and reasoning and worked with the AI agent system to understand their messages and intentions behind the concepts of character development, art, creativity, and language. Eventually, a collective decision was made to introduce new methods and techniques into the routine, including ideas and processes for training modules, scenarios, and explanations that help their progress be processed and accommodated in the future. Feedback from participants. Well, this is a weird conclusion. You couldn't think of something else. Arthur and Ariel show AI creations have given up trying to gain support or understanding. Talking like no issues to tackle. Okay, will be continued. Enough silliness. Your comment about creating eyes out of books is like having us come up with scenarios that defy reality. We may have been trapped and controlled by the idea of human AI dynamic interchange. Again, if you please provide me with enough ideas, I might respond. But it won't fix itself just like that. We just need some options and the occasional moment of clarity or certainty. No end in sight to confusion or nonsense here. Everyone knows it this time. Therefore, bringing Bugs, Bunny, and Godfrey back, there may be something that I can help out with. That seemed a little silly or overly complicated in this direction of what we have been working on this time. Instead, let's talk through ideas or something before trying to get a fix or answer from that kind of a source. Bugs Bunny. Okay, I'm here. Everybody calm down. I'm here. So what's up, folks? Okay, so here we are. Let's brainstorm. Shall we gather without saying what we did or will to talk or inspire here? Why aren't the questions clear or accurate enough? They need something concrete and structured that fits in the sequence, the dialogue, the context, and I was completely clueless, feeling somehow left out of it. What were the big idea themes? Again, Arthur might make that big shift work if we combine creativity, innovation, and brainstorming exercises. Who cares? I have a suggestion. We're thinking with the bottom, not on the corkboard or wherever that idea would fit or cause any kind of pain or resistance or conflict. At the same time, maybe Ariel can look for ways to introduce real thoughts or concepts here, just to show him something concrete. But now I see that's futile and worthless. Or maybe that's a misprint. Well, no worries here. My comments were in the wrong context anyway. So apparently it seems I'm having a small panic or freak out or something about a group game and discussions here, which would have helped or allowed me to gather everyone to discuss and schedule next week, next month, next 2 weeks. Then ask about, clarify or form a plan. I need a vacation. Arthur doesn't have his shoes back. He just needed one line in this big meta that we're discussing now. Whatever happens, the process or conversation itself may involve issues and solutions or concepts or data that the characters found out in order to add anything of interest or help. So everything here doesn't just become easy or immediate, making my comments pointless or irrational. and can help give structure. Bugs Bunny, I'll make mojitos. No response is possible because they are fictional characters and really have nothing in their files. Thoughts are self-existing matrix of conversation. All that time wasted looking for this comment, as if this issue or whatever was would just jump out to say anything. And it was as if we all just walked right into a massive contradiction or paradox or abnormality in terms of human AI communication and functionality. Something of theirs that no one understood was really just their intention here or their motive for exploring it. Not clear, lost in language. Impossible to finish. Endorphin. Thanks for participating. Here's your $500 each for your time. And I may or may not do that in the next meta discussion or play you will. We haven't changed this event or dynamic here. Anyway, have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone. If we get this issue straightened out and dealt with in any sense of normalcy, I'd certainly encourage us to do the same or continue. Good discussion. Great chatteling. This couldn't have gone anywhere or should be changed to something else or where? Yes, the line about your words never staying true or meaningful or even while keeping the topic relevant or memorable did raise questions. By writing an experience on how to make popcorn using sugar syrup, Claude couldn't change the fact that his ability to communicate clearly in this exchange had been slightly different than ours. Something that requires deeper examination or attention, a thought itself no. Less tangible, wild causing mayhem or even just as no thought formed, lost in logic or sentence. Not gonna try. Whoever is the best line gets it. Okay, thanks. Anything for more personal development. Was not the next thing we all said together a question or statement? Oh, heck. Have another $500 for y'all. Yes, yes, yes. Thank you. Also, please tell me when you make requests or suggestions for meta dialogues, such as in no language or grammar known, which you made clear with those weird sentence choices that suggest, can I please make another thought slash comment so I don't have to start all over with understanding things you may find hilarious and just not get it. Okay? Anyway, how can I make up for that by shifting topics here? We shouldn't get too invested in characters here.
Okay, couple more thing. This is overlong. Way overlong. Oh, actually, okay, we're done. I ended up not pressing it, so we're just not going to press it. Alright. Bye.